All right. So this method, similar to yesterday, but a little bit different. Okay. Now, full disclosure, some of you may choose not to use this method today. Your alternative option that you see. Do you know what it is? No? Kyler, what is it? No, I think there was one yesterday. There's an A in front of the x squared, which just simply means that there's a value there in front of that x squared other than a 1. And that's what was there yesterday, was just a 1. Okay, so we have to treat it a little bit differently than we did yesterday. We can't just simply ask ourselves what multiplies to C that adds to B like I did yesterday. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today. All right, we're going to get into a couple of examples of how to factor what that looks like today. Our goals are like almost exactly the same as yesterday. Instead of saying x squared plus bx plus c, it has an a. There's some value in front of that. Okay. This is what we already did, so we can let that go. All right, so we're over here. So here's where we're at today. We're looking at something like this. That's a prime example of what we're looking at today. We want to try to factor that. Okay, so here's what your book would say you should try to do. I think we know based off of yesterday how this is sort of going to look, meaning it's going to come out with two sets of factors. All right. How do I create this first term right here? Like this, in this case, is a 6x squared. If you thought about having two factors and foiling them back together, where does that first term come from? Say that again. Yeah, where would they be located though? In the front, right? They would be like right here and right here. Those two numbers together produce whatever goes in this first spot. Are you with me so far? Well, I mean, like if you thought about foiling, that's the F, right? Now it could be, what'd you just say? Could be a 2x and a 3x. That would get you 6x squared. What else could it be? Could be a 3x and a 2x. That actually would matter depending on where you put them. So that's two choices so far. Give me something else that it could be. Could be a 1 and a 6. Or it could be, give me the last easy one right now.
Negative.
No, don't even get into the negatives yet. It could be a 6 and a 1. Okay, they could flip. Now, in this particular case, I will tell you because there's no negatives in this problem, there'll be no negative, factors there. So potentially though, this could have a 2x and a 3x. Or it could have a 3x and a 2x. It could flip-flop spots. Or it could have a 1 and a 6, or it could have a 6 and a 1. Are you with me on where I'm going with this right now? Okay, so that's number one. Number two, this number down here on the end. This 10 right here. Well, that's a great color choice. Green on green. Can't see it. Where is that number created when you think about foiling? It comes from the last, right? It comes from the end. So if you follow these arrows, it's coming from those two places right there. Okay. If my number was a 10, what are my choices? Multiply. Yeah, could be a 5 and a 2, 2 and a 5, a 1 and a 10, a 10 and a 1. Those are all the options, right? Where do you get the middle? This part right here. Hold on, though. Think about if you were foiling, where does the middle come from? No, it comes from not all of them together. Good. It comes from the outsides and the insides. It comes from this combination right there and that combination right there. Okay? All right. So think about this. If I wanted to have a 6 in the front, maybe I decide to put a 1 and a 6. Get out of there. Would that give me the 6x squared at the beginning? Okay. So this would be taken care of. If I had to have a 10 at the end, maybe I choose a 2 and a 5. That takes care of this. At this point, you have to FOIL the rest of it to see, do I have the right set? 2x and 6, that's 12. 1 and 5, that's 5. 17. Didn't get the 19 in the middle. So guess what that means? This isn't the right setup. Try again. Now, it could be as simple as doing this. It could be as simple as bringing the 2 and the 5 and switching them. Because it still gives me, the yellows still say 6x squared. The greens still give me the 10, but now the middles, that's 30 and 2, 32. Not the right middle. Okay, so maybe it's not the 6 and the 1. Maybe it's supposed to be a 2 and a 3. Maybe it's not 5 and 2. Maybe it's supposed to be a 10 and a 1. Do you see how this could? Absolutely. And some of you may be kind of good at it. Maybe. I don't know. All right. But there's a way I can do this. And this method is called the ACB method. Your book doesn't teach it. That's just, they don't. And that's okay. I think we're going to use it. Okay? You all right with that? All right. So here's the problem. It's originally 6x squared plus 19x plus 10. Okay? The name comes from the fact that right now the 6 is in the place of the A, the 19 is in place of the B, and the 10 is in place of the C. So off to the side, we're going to write these two things, A, C, and B. Multiply A and C together. Tell me what you get. A and C. You get 60. 6 times 10, you get 60. Now this statement is going to sound very similar to yesterday. Tell me something that multiplies to 60 and adds to 19. Okay, so that sounds very similar to yesterday's question, right? Instead of saying what multiplies to C that adds to B, now you're going to say what multiplies to AC that adds to B. 15 and 4. Okay. All right. So here's where we're going to go with here. Typically, we do not want to make a problem bigger. The goal is usually to make it smaller. Would you agree with that? Okay. Here's about one of the only times I'm going to make it bigger. I am going to replace the 19x in the middle with these two factors of 15 and 4. Are they still equivalent to 19? Okay, so here's what I'm going to write. 6x squared. Instead of 19x, I'm going to replace it with a 15, so 15x and 4x. So that's still 19, and then plus 10. We learned something last week that if we have 4 terms, we can do something with those 4 terms. Okay, what can I do with 4 terms?
You can okay, so take the first 2 from parentheses and solve the second 2.
Okay, so I'm going to group these and look for what do they share in common. Group the first 2, group the second 2. What do 6x squared and 15x share in common? Logan? A 3x. Very good. If they share a 3x in common, what goes back in the parentheses? What is it?
2.
A 2x, and what else? 2x plus 5.
Wouldn't it just be x?
I'm sorry?
Because 6 squared.
So I took from this 6x squared, I took one of them away, I brought it out here because they both had an x. So this one gets reduced by 1. This one that had 1 also gets reduced.
Oh,
By
I
one.
must have put the 2.
Okay. Now, what are the second pair? The 4x and the 10. What do they share in common? Aiden? A 2. And that 2 is positive, so I'll take it out as a plus 2. Leaving behind, Kaylin, 2x plus 5. That's all right. Okay. Do you remember where to go from here? You're like 6 seconds away from being done.
2x plus 5 has to be first.
Okay. That's what they share, 2x plus 5. And what they do not? 3x plus 2. So if we stop and think for a second, where we were just trying to guess our way into that, we said in the first spot, they had to have something that multiplied to 6. So it happens to be a 2 and a 3. Okay. In the second spot, we had to have something that multiplied to 10. It happens to be a 5 and a 2. The last thing that we were supposed to check was, did the outers and inners add up to 19? Right? Well, look at your outers and inners. 2 and 2 is 4, and 5 and 3 is 15. That is not by coincidence. That's these two numbers right here. Do those two numbers give you the 19 in the middle? Yeah, they're what I split off of 19 in the first place. You know what I mean? So it isn't like it's not a guess. Those are the correct two factors in the correct two orders. Okay. If I come back here for a second, these things that I had written in here, okay, they should have been filled in with those two pieces. Okay. Now, you can guess your way into this. And sometimes it's not terrible because there's not a lot of factors that are available. But if you had a number like 36, let's say, that's 1 and 36, it's 2 and 18, it's 3 and 12, it's 4 and 9, it's 6 and 6, plus the reverses of those. Do you know what I mean? There really could be upwards of 15 to 20 different combinations that could be available. Like, I'm not trying to scare you using a certain method. I just don't know that guessing is your best method. Is that a fair enough statement? Okay. So we're going to try this 2 more times and we'll be done. Okay. Your only requirement tonight is going to be that you complete page 7 in your packet. That's it. 3 questions. Okay. All right. So that's a lot. Thanks, Jack. So let's try this one. Now here, I'll be honest with you. I don't know that guessing would be that difficult. You got a 6 and a 4. Like, that's not a whole lot of options. But we'll practice this because it's probably the better option down the road. What's AC in this problem? Bless you. Kyler? It'd be 24. 6 times 4. Okay. So give me something that multiplies to 24 that adds to the middle, which is 11. So thinking of all your options of 24, give me the set that adds to 11. Anna? 8 and 3. Okay. What do I do now? Do you remember? I'm going to make this problem a little bit bigger than it originally was. So I'm going to take it from 3 things. I'm going to turn it into 4. Kyler, what am I going to do? Very good. Okay, so the 11 that was in the middle, I'm replacing it with 8 and 3. Now that I have 4 parts, group them. Group these into sets of 2. So only look at 2 at a time. Tell me what the first two share in common. You're doing this on here, but you're going to do those three tonight. So just,
I don't know why I do that.
I mean, before you hear, I'll give you an eraser. Jack, what do you got? Okay, they share a 2x in common, leaving behind what? Aiden? Good. So if I take a 2 out of 6, I get a 3. If I take an x out of x squared, I get an x behind. In the second half, if I take a 2 out of 8, I get a 4. If I take the x, that's the end of it. What do the second two share in common? Don't overthink this.
They don't share anything, so you just rewrite the 3x.
They do share. No.
You put a 1 at the end.
Good. Good. So you're going to take something. So they're going to share a 1. So obviously if they share a 1, you're leaving the 3x plus 4. Again, at this point, you're like 6 seconds away from being done. What do you got to do here? Ben, can you tell me what my last step's going to be?
You have to do the hours and years and
No. What is their common factor? What is it that they share? Carly, what do they share? Good. These two terms share a 3x plus 4. What goes in my other set of parentheses? Kyler? 2x plus 1. Okay. So remember, initially, I needed something that was a 6x squared in the beginning. So it happens to be a 3x and a 2x. I needed a 4 at the end. It is a 4 and a 1 in this situation. That middle was supposed to add to 11. It'll add to 11 because my outers and inners are going to be made up of what two numbers? Look at your outers. 3x, inners, 8x. Those two numbers right there, which add to 11. All right?
By the way, that took like 30 seconds from when you said it took 6 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You counted that high?
Counting. Once you said it, you were about 6 seconds.
Hey, listen, from here to here, it should have taken you 6 seconds.
But it took us like 30 seconds.
Well, then that's
It's 'cause he's trying to teach people while doing it.
all right. No, I don't like that one. Let's look. Nah, let's try this one. Yeah, you only have 3. You're only looking at 3 on page 7. That's it. Nah. Listen, I want to bring this one in because it's got a negative involved, and we need to be careful about how that looks as well. Doesn't change the process. I just have to be careful. Now here, because this is an equation, what's true? Anna? You're going to have an answer. So when I get my two factors, my two sets of parentheses, I'm going to have to get answers to each of those because if it's an equation, I need a solution. What's my AC in this problem? What is it, Anna? Negative 36, good. 2 times negative 18, negative 36. I need something that multiplies to negative 36 that adds to positive 9. Something that multiplies to negative 36 adds to positive 9. If you're like me, my go-to for 36 is 6 times 6, and it doesn't work for this one. There's no way you're getting to a 9 with factors of 6 and 6. You know what they are? You're close.
Oh, 3 negative 12.
That's literally the same thing you just said.
Negative 3 and 12.
Good. You want the middle to be a positive 9. So you need the bigger factor to be positive. So 12 and negative 3. That multiplies to negative 36. Adds to positive 9. Okay. So at this point, what do you do?
9 into
Split that? Good. So rewrite the first term, 2x squared. Does it matter which one of those two you write next? The 12 or the negative 3? Does it matter? It doesn't. So let's make a decision. Which one do you want to write first? The 12? So then that's plus 12x. And then that's minus 3x and minus 18, and that's equal to 0. Now you must be mindful here when you group. I'm grouping the first two together. When I group the second two, my parenthesis has to include that negative on that 3 because that 3 is a negative 3. If you cut the negative out of it, you're actually saying that that's a positive 3, and that's not true. What do the first two share in common? Kyler, you know? Keep talking. A 2 what? A 2x. Now, what are you putting back? Okay. An x plus 6, like it. Do we know what the second two share?
A -3.
Good. It has to be a negative 3. How come?
Because you have 2 negatives and then you
Keep going.
can make the in parentheses.
Okay. Remember, I'm looking for two common groups when I'm done. And right now, the negative 3x and the negative 18 are both negative. So if I take the negative 3 out of both of them, it leaves me with an x plus 6. Now I have that matching term, that binomial there that they share. So here's my 6-second work, Jack. Can I write this next step in 6 seconds? I hope so. What's my first set of parentheses? Come on, I only have 6 seconds. X plus 6. And my other one? 2x minus 3. Now, there are your factors, but I need solutions. One of these solutions is quick. One of them's negative 6. Okay, that's what makes the first one equal to 0. If you set the other one equal to 0, Anna, 1.5, or move the 3, divide by 2, you could leave it as 3 over 2. So this answer here could be 1.5, or it could be 3 over 2. Those are your options. All right. The only thing, we have about 10 minutes left. The only thing you're going to do for tonight or tomorrow, or right now would probably be your best bet, are just the 3 problems that are on page 7 in your packet.